What's up YouTube? My name is Mike, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about 5 different types of meditation that you can do so that you can find the one that works best for you. And I didn't mean to rhyme. So without further, I'm just going to get right into it for you guys so you can test drive which ones you want. So I'm going to give you the technique and how to do it. So technique number 1, something called open focus. Very amazing, powerful technique, which is not very well known. So this comes from Dr. Les Femi, and this is his book called The Open Focus Brain. Great little book, but essentially what open focus is it's based off of the idea that through evolutionary patterns and habits of avoiding predators, humans have trained our awareness to be very narrow, and we focus on one thing, and our attention is narrow. This is because when we were either chasing prey or running from predators, we would just focus on that one thing so that we could utilize all of our energies for that task of survival. However, this has leaked into our modern day society, and it dominates it's our predominant way of interacting with and viewing the world. So especially when we're texting and reading or doing anything on technology, computers, it's very narrow focused. We're very just aware of what we're doing right in front of us. This puts our body into fight or flight mode and keeps us in the stress response. So I just want to read a very brief excerpt from the Open Focus Brain so that I can highlight to you just how detrimental living in the stress response is. So what Dr. Les Femi says is when we narrow focus, we engage our fight or flight response system, which is the stress response, which tamps down physiological systems that aren't needed for an emergency. For example, the immune and digestive functions get put on the back burners, and this ramps up others that are needed, such as respiratory rates and cortisol levels rise. So that's why stress can lead to things like acid reflux or IBS, also skin problems like rashes, acne. It could block pores, and chronic narrow objective attention also causes chronic muscle pain. So as you can see here, it's very detrimental. And lastly, he also mentions how when you live in a fight or flight response, all of the blood that normally flows to your prefrontal cortex, which is the most evolved part of the brain, the thinking brain, all of that flows to your body, to your extremities, so it could be used to either run away or defend yourself because your body thinks you're gonna die. So and he talks about how this vastly impairs our ability to hold attention, and is possibly one of the reasons why ADD and ADHD are so prevalent today, is because we have trained our awareness to be in this narrow focus. So his technique is all about opening our focus and training us to become pay attention in a different way, in a more open way, so that we can get out of the fight or flight response and also live in a more relaxed state. So let me explain for you how to do this technique. So there are many different open focus techniques, but I'm going to give you 2. One is actually a formal sitting meditation that you can do with your eyes closed, sitting down and meditate. The second technique is just a way of paying attention that you could do with your eyes open just throughout the day, and it's very powerful because through this technique, you can train your brain to drop from beta brainwaves, which is what you would normally be in when your eyes are open, into an alpha state, which is a meditative state. So it's basically, all that means is that you'll feel much more relaxed, you'll be more creative, you'll be out of that fight or flight, you'll be very calm and like zen-like, yeah. So you can do that with your eyes open, which previously scientists thought wasn't possible. Les Femi showed us that it is. So first technique, this is the open focus meditation. So sitting down, you can close your eyes, and you're just gonna begin to feel your body just kind of settle into the space. And the idea here is that you're gonna first focus on body parts. So first focus on the space between your eyes. So you close your eyes and you sense this space right here between your eyes, and you can even sense in your skull a little bit, like between your eyes, inside your head. And you sense that space, and you sense and feel it with your attention, with your awareness. Okay, you do that for a few seconds, then you sense and feel the space inside the bridge of your nose. Okay, so you sense and feel that for a bit. And then you could move to, for example, feeling the space in between both of your ears, inside your head, in between both of your ears. So you begin to sense the space inside your body. And this starts to slow down your brain waves. You drop into an alpha state. You might notice the mind chatter, the volume starts to get turned down on the thinking mind. Then you could feel inside the center of your throat. And lastly, you could feel behind your breastbone in the center of your chest. And maybe just stay on each of those spots for maybe 20 or 30 seconds or something like that. So this whole process might take you, 3 to 5 minutes. And you do that, and by the end of that, you'll notice you'll be more relaxed. So the key here is that you're not thinking about feeling these different spots inside your body. You're sensing and feeling them with your awareness. In the same way that you can place your attention on my wrist here, and I could feel that with my mind. And even when I take my hands away, I could still keep my awareness here and feel that. And I could move up to my elbow, I could feel my elbow. I could place my attention on my shoulder and feel my shoulder. That's all it is. So after a few minutes of feeling the spaces inside your body, then you feel the space around your body. So I'll feel the space in front of my chest, around my shoulders, around my neck, around my head. And then if you're in a room like I am, you could feel the space between, for example, my shoulders and the walls, or my body and the wall in front of me. And you just feel the space of the room. And you're doing this with your eyes closed. You could do it with your eyes open too, but I do it with my eyes closed. And just whenever your mind wanders, just bring it back to the space. And you just begin to sense that. And then you could even expand just into the vast, infinite blackness of space, because your eyes are closed, right? And you just realize that you are connected to all of space, and you kind of expand out into that, and you'll notice you drop into a very, very relaxed state. You'll notice your muscles relaxing, and it's really, really nice technique. So that is the open focus meditation technique. The kind of just attention exercise of awareness that you can do with your eyes open is just pick a spot in front of you. Maybe, so if I'm looking at this wall, I'll pick something on the wall, maybe 5 feet in front of me. Just pick a spot and stare at it. While you keep your gaze there, expand your awareness. So now I'm taking in my peripheral vision. I can see the walls on each side of me. I could see the ceiling above me, the floor beneath me. I could feel the space inside my body. I could see the background. So I'm making what's behind the object as important as the foreground. So you're really just opening your field of vision to include everything as you stare at that initial object. So instead of narrowly focusing on that object, I'm focusing on the object, but also taking in my peripheral above, below, feeling the space behind me. And this puts you into a relaxed state, and it lets your body know, okay, I'm not in fight or flight, I can chill out. So that's open focus. Again, you could check out his book, The Open Focus Brain, really awesome stuff. And that's the first meditation technique. Okay, so technique number 2 is mindfulness meditation. This is arguably one of the most popular meditation techniques, especially for beginners. And essentially, it's just learning how to become aware of the present moment without judgment. So how we do that as a meditative practice is you'll sit down, close your eyes, and just begin to feel the inflow and the outflow of your breath. And that's going to be your anchor point to the present moment. So what that means is as my eyes are closed, I'm sitting, I'm just feeling the inflow and the outflow of the breath. And whenever my mind wanders to the past, to the future, or to some fantasy, I just notice it, and without judgment, without judging myself, I just gently and lovingly bring my attention back to the breath. So what this does is you begin to train your awareness to stay in the present moment, and you also start to build the neural pathway in your brain in the insula region associated with empathy and compassion if you practice with non-judgment, because it's also in that way becomes a practice of building empathy and compassion, because you have compassion for your mind that it naturally is going to wander. So instead of shaming and judging yourself like, oh, why am I thinking, you just watch the thoughts go by, and you just watch the thoughts go by like clouds in the sky or like cars passing on the road, and you bring your attention back to the breath. So you could check out my video on how to meditate where I go much deeper into this specific type of meditation. I'll link to that. But that is mindfulness meditation, which is technique number 2. So meditation technique number 3 is going to be mantra meditation, which is somewhat similar to mindfulness meditation, but instead of the breath being the anchor to the present, a mantra is the anchor to the present. And a mantra is just a phrase. For example, common mantras are Om, Om Namah Shivaya, Hamsa, and there are many, many more. And these are just Sanskrit words which have a certain vibrational impact on you. And because so many people over thousands of years have used these words, they have a sort of field effect. In the same way where if you meditate in the same spot every day, it has a field effect where once you sit there, you kind of automatically start to drop into this state. The words can have an effect on you in that way. So a mantra is just something that's going to be repeated mentally. So you're not repeating it out loud, but instead of focusing on the breath, you repeat the mantra in your mind. And whenever your mind wanders, you bring your attention back to the mantra. You can also correlate it with the breath. So for example, if I was doing Hamsa meditation, which is a mantra, I would go Ham on the in-breath and Sa on the out-breath mentally. So that is mantra meditation. And again, it's just whichever you prefer. If you like the breath better, you do the breath. If you prefer using a word, because that gives your mind something to focus on, then maybe try mantra meditation. And that's technique number 3. Meditation technique number 4 is going to be called loving kindness. So loving kindness meditation uses a concept called metta. And what metta is, it's basically just benevolence, goodwill, compassion, and love. And you're going to be directing this towards oneself, towards others, towards the world. And this meditation is really, really powerful as a self-love practice to build love for yourself, which is really important. I'm not talking about narcissism. It's just our ability to love others is directly affected by our ability to love ourselves. So the more you can love yourself, the more you can love all of life. So it can help you with that. It can help you with empathizing with others, forgiveness, all things of this nature. So you begin loving kindness meditation by sitting down, getting comfortable, just dropping into the space. You could become aware of your breath or a mantra for a few minutes or body parts just to kind of get you centered. And once you're there, with your eyes closed, you begin to just direct this loving kindness towards yourself. So feeling compassion towards yourself, befriending yourself. It can be helpful to call up an image of yourself as a child and recognizing the innocence and love of your child self and just having compassion for yourself in that way. And then once you do that for a few minutes, you can direct this metta, this loving kindness, towards a good friend of yours. Just think of them and send them your love. And then thirdly, think of a more difficult relationship in your life and just work on sending loving kindness towards that. And lastly, you could blast this love bomb out to the entire universe. So that's loving kindness meditation. And in my opinion, this is a type of meditation that I've found to be really helpful to use guided meditations. They've helped me a lot. So I have some guided meditations that perhaps I'll post on YouTube and link to them, or I'll link you to other people's guided meditations for loving kindness. And that is that technique. So the last and final technique, the 5th meditation technique, is very, very interesting. It's something called self-inquiry, and it comes from the great sage Ramana Maharshi. the great Indian sage. So what self-inquiry is it's an investigation into the I am. Who am I? If you were to just look at your ego, your sense of I, who you are when you say I, it's behind everything, all of your thoughts, perceptions, actions, reactions. And we tend to confuse this sense of being, this ground of being, this sense of existence. We confuse that with our bodies, with our minds, with the roles and labels we play. So let me illustrate this for you as an example. Think of yourself as a 5-year-old, and your body was obviously a lot smaller than it is now. But if you could think back when you were experiencing yourself as a 5-year-old, you experienced it as I. You would say I. You would look at your 5-year-old self in the mirror and you would say, I am Mike, for example. And now that I'm 24, same thing. I look in the mirror, it's the same I, but my body has changed. So I know that my body is not this sense of I. And likewise, all thoughts and emotions pass and come and go. But the I remains. So my thoughts aren't this I. The labels, the roles I play are not this I. The external world falls away and changes and disintegrates, but there's always this I. No matter how old you get, that sense of I is always there. So self-inquiry is the investigation into who am I. To do this meditation, you'll be sitting with your eyes closed, and instead of the breath or a mantra, for example, you focus on your sense of I am. So use the question, who am I? Repeated mentally, you can just say, who am I, in your head. And whatever comes up, you reject any verbal answers. It's just, that question is just to direct your attention to your sense of existence, your presence of being. And once you can fix your attention on that subjective feeling of I or I am, just go deep into it. You become one with it. And eventually your true self can become revealed to you. The self that is beyond any limitation, that is really beyond the physical realm. The self that is pure awareness, pure consciousness, always was, always is, and always will be. This is how we can start to come into contact with the transpersonal parts of our nature, beyond the ego, beyond the personality, beyond the body. Very, very, very powerful technique. A little bit more advanced, but definitely really cool to explore if you haven't. And to help you while you're doing this technique, if any emotions or thoughts just keep coming up, you could say, who is it that is experiencing anger? Or who is it that is experiencing frustration? Or who is it that observes the thoughts? Okay? And this will redirect your attention back to that subjective feeling of the I am presence without any conceptions attached to it. So in this way, we actually turn our awareness in on itself and begin to watch the watcher, to become aware of the observer. So instead of focusing on the breath or a mantra, we're focusing on awareness itself. So this is really, really powerful stuff, guys. And if you have any more questions on that, feel free to ask me. And so as just a little bonus, those are the 5 meditation techniques, but I do want to give you a little bonus. This is something you could combine with any technique, super powerful, and it's called heart coherence. I'm going to make a more in-depth video on this, but just to give you the actual technique, something to do is before you start any meditation technique, you can place your hands over your chest, and that's going to release oxytocin, which is going to calm your body down, and you can start to place your attention on the space inside your chest and breathe into that. And just bring up an elevated emotion of love, gratitude, compassion, inspiration, anything really. And you breathe into that and you close your eyes and you feel that emotion as you feel this space inside your chest. And as you're feeling that up, you can even just call up an image of someone that you love. That can be really helpful. And as you're doing this with your eyes closed, just focus on that space and focus on that image, that feeling, and begin to slow down your breath to maybe 4 counts on the inhale, 4 counts on the exhale. Deepen and slow the breath. And what that does is as you begin to start to feel that elevated emotion and slow your breath, the magnetic field around your heart begins to expand. This has been measured by HeartMath Institute, which I'll link to. And actually, you go into heart coherence, which is a state of equilibrium. So your body relaxes, and that actually affects your brain and calms down your brain waves. So starts to put you into a meditative state. So you could do like 5 minutes of heart coherence, just calling up an image of a person, place, or thing that you love, while focusing on your the center of your chest, and just slowing down and deepening your breath. And you do that for a few minutes. And then you could begin any of these 5 techniques or any other techniques that you use, and it could be really, really helpful. So that's all for this video, guys. I trust that it was a benefit to you. If it was, please share it with a friend, comment, let me know, and subscribe. For more, I'm going to link to my meditation playlist and my other videos on meditation. I have a lot of daily uploads that I'm going to be posting to YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.